You know, in today's digital economy, data is going to be much more and more important, in every aspects of businesses. The financial functions, the customer service function, and the marketing functions are already using data to drive a lot of their business decision. So for HR profession, we are one of the last to catch up. So it is so important because the quantification of people data are going to help CEOs and businesses make better decisions in regards to people management. HR analytics is really nothing more than the systematic quantification of the people drivers of business. So basically, you take people data and business data, you integrate them together so that you're able to help business leaders understand the patterns, in people decisions, and be able to use information to be able to make better decisions on hiring, how to pay the right levels of salary, as well as how to train people in a more effective manner. So data helps to drive all these decisions. Well, in most of the classes that I teach, and when we run surveys, most organizations are at level 1 or level 2, of what we call, people analytics. So a lot of them are doing data gathering, they are doing reporting, they're doing benchmarking, but very few organizations are using people data, using data to help them with insights. So most of them have not reached level 3 or 4 as compared to big companies like Google or Facebook or internet companies that are a little bit more savvy with data. The data analytics journey, it's basically involves 5 steps. We call level 1 is step 1, which is really understanding the business problem. Everything starts with the business problem. So when you understand the business problem, you are able to pull the right information to help support the organization. So in level 1, what we call the first step of data analytics, we always start with the tool of what we call a critical business issue analysis. So in the critical business issue analysis, we look at what, when, why, how. We also try to look at has it got to do with a culture? Has it got to do with systemic problem, or is it a policy problem? And then we ask questions like, what is the data available for us to be able to gather insights? So in my experience working for a very big security company, I was faced with a very very tough task of hiring thousands of workers for the business. And you might think that it's a very simple turnover problem or a recruitment problem, but when I started to use data to analyze the reason why we were not recruiting enough people for the business, I began to uncover a lot of interesting trends and patterns. So when I used the critical issue business analysis to understand, what was the recruitment issue, it began to help me solve a very complex problem using workforce modeling. And with that workforce model, I was able to recruit thousands of workers, which helped the organization secure a $60 million contract in the airport. So it's very, very powerful if you're able to understand how to use data. Of course, the second step of the analytics cycle is really being able to identify the right kind of data. So identifying the right kind of data would involve things like being able to know the kind of data to pull up. Like in the complex workforce model that we built, we began to understand what was the sales pipeline. What's the sales pipeline in the next 6 months? What are the current sources of recruitment that is much more effective? What is the productivity index of my workers? So I know the shortfall in each of the shift patterns. I also understand, what is the hit rate of each of my recruiter. So with all this kind of information available, we're able to know every month what is the shortfall and surplus in our businesses. Then the third step in the data cycle is really data cleansing. Data cleansing involves being able to use the right kind of tools to clean data. We say, as we say, garbage in, garbage out. So when we're able to clean the data correctly, then you're able to pull the information out for more accurate analysis. That after the data cleansing cycle, the next cycle is what we call the statistical analysis. That's where the tools are needed. Excel, it could be SPSS, you could be using more complex tools like SAS or even R, and even using machine learning. Then the last step of the process is what we call storytelling, data storytelling. So most of the time people are very afraid of using statistics and using different kind of tools. And they said, Jack, how do I start? I don't even know where to start. I said, I always tell them 80-20 principle. Go for the business problem that has the most impact on the organization. Like for me, I went for the recruitment issue. It is one part of the problem, but when I solved the recruitment problem, I could solve a lot of other business problems. So start with something small and that has a big impact on the business. And when you see the successes, you encourage you to take on even bigger projects. So the principle is that data analytics is a journey. It doesn't stop. You have to learn continuously. Go for courses, continue to learn, go for classes, go for online learning, so that you will always be equipped with the right kind of tools and skills to do the job.